Then also obviously play A Link Between Worlds is one of my, which is might be a hot take. I think it's one of the best Zelda games.
Is that a hot take? I don't know. I thought that game was pretty well loved.
Yeah, I think it is, but I just don't hear people talking about it much because it's like it's not technically a 3D Zelda game; it's a 2D
It
one. If we're
suffers from
talking
being
like
on a
design,
handheld.
and it's pretty much like a I don't know, I wouldn't say like a soft remake of
A Link
A
to the
Link to the
Past?
Past
Yeah.
because it just uses the same map and a lot of the same like stuff, but it's very
Yeah.
different. So
Fun
yeah,
fact,
those are
never
the.
played
Oh,
it.
sorry. I recommend it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like A Link to the Past a lot. I think it's one of my favorite Zelda games. Not in my top five, but A Link Between Worlds is like one of my favorite Zelda games. I would put that
Yeah.
above A Link to the Past personally. I love the mechanic of like
Ah.
going into the wall and like
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, it
out
always
into the
looks
wall.
super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it it's really fun and great. And I also love. I think it did the best. I honestly think, and this is probably a hot take. I think it is the closest Zelda has gotten to emulating the original Legend of Zelda in terms of non-linearity.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say, and there's going to be a bit of a rant, so sorry. A
Go
lot
right
of people
ahead.
say that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are emulating that original Legend of Zelda uh, feeling, and that it's the closest games that have ever done that since the original Zelda. All the other ones are really linear and all that. I heavily disagree. I think that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are more like Wind Waker than they are like the original Legend of Zelda. Because
Totally.
Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are based off of points of interest. You see something in the
Yeah.
distance, you go, "The heck is that?" and you go to it. That's the whole idea of exploration in those games. With the original Legend of Zelda, it's based off of finding secrets.
Totally.
Like you don't see a giant tree or something like in the forest and you're like, oh, I
And you
gotta
just
burn this
burn
tree
it.
down or something.
Yeah,
You
you just
just
burn
burn
it.
some random
Yeah.
tree that I have no idea how you're
Yeah.
supposed to figure out normally. And
I don't know. Ask my dad and my
yeah,
uncle. They played that game before the internet.
yeah. And then the only other games that kind of did that were a little bit of Link to the Past. Honestly, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask with like just putting a bomb down on a random tree and then finding a heart piece, like stuff like
Totally. Or
that.
one of those holes that just leads to a giant pea hat, and it's like, all right,
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like obviously it's not fully like it, but it's probably the closest. But I think in terms of non-linearity, because I think a lot of people oversell the non-linearity aspect of the original Legend of Zelda because you can't just like go to Death Mountain and beat Ganon, right? You still need to find all
Well,
the
I
you still need to find
mean,
all the you still need to
oh
find all the
yeah, you
Triforce
need it. You
pieces.
need everything to access the final
Yeah,
dungeon. You can go to level 8 right away though, if you want.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's yeah, but there's like some that you can't. Like there's the one dungeon that you need the recorder for. That's found in another dungeon.
That's
I think
true.
it's
That's true. 8
6.
though, level 8, you just burn a bush to access it.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if you can get through it though. I don't know if
yeah,
there's like a part where you need the flute or whatever, but
yeah,
you can I'll tell you this: accidentally stumbling into level 8, even me as a kid in the internet age, that was like horrifying and awesome all at the same time. Where you're like,
yeah,
oh, what's this bush that's kind of out here? Let me burn that and see if I get a heart piece. And then you do it, and you're in like the one of the last dungeons, and it's white and scary, and you're like, oh man,
yeah.
like it's totally got that.
Yeah, it's definitely got stuff like that, and I think A Link to the Past, to a lesser extent, Ocarina of Time, not really many of the other ones, had stuff kind of like that where you can do some of the dungeons out of order. Like you can
Right.
I believe you can technically uh, complete the Shadow Temple and the Spirit Temple in Ocarina of Time before you complete the Water Temple. You just need the long shot.
Yes,
I'm
you can
pretty
do
sure you can
dungeons
grab
out
the
of
long
order.
shot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can grab the long shot from the Water Temple, dip out if you wanted to, and then do the Shadow
Right.
Temple and the because I think the like trigger for Bongo Bongo to rock chic shit in Kakariko Village is just going into the Water Temple. I think I've not
Right.
tested it, but I'm pretty sure you can.
I've also
Um,
seen the fire temple and water temple done in reverse order. Like,
yeah, I think you can do
I know
those in
that.
reverse order, and then Spirit Temple, Shadow Temple are the famous ones you can do in any order.
Yes,
Um,
yeah. Though I went fire, water, shadow, spirit, which I think is like the
Yeah,
typical order. Yeah.
that's the one. The one that I would use that I always did when I first started playing it was I went in order of the medallions, so I would do spirit before shadow, but it just feels
Right.
better to do shadow last or spirit last. I mean, sorry.
Spirit
So
Temple
that's what
is
I do
so
nowadays.
end game feeling because you
Yeah,
go through the
because
whole
you're in the
Gerudo
enemy's
thing, and
base.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then you also, it's you have like the kid Link and adult Link part, and it's kind of got that
yeah,
like
it's like
homage
yeah.
to the early part of the game. It's the Spirit Temple is such a good final dungeon, like bruh.
Yeah. Well, penultimate dungeon. Ganon's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Castle's
You
too.
know, not Ganon's
Yeah,
castle. A good final
yeah,
like normal
yeah,
dungeon. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But
So
yes, I think a Link Between Worlds is the best at like actually handling that non-linearity in a way that's because
right.
you can get any of the dungeon items, quote unquote, any of the items you need to complete the dungeons, you can get from uh, not
Oh, you
Rivoli,
can like
that's a different
rent
Breath of the
them,
Wild.
right?
Yeah, you can rent them or buy them
Yeah.
from the shop. So it adds this bit of like you could pretty much do most of the dungeons out of order.
Right.
There's a recommended order, but like you can do them pretty much out of order. I think it's the best game that did it like that because it doesn't sacrifice like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom kind of sacrifice the ability to tell a linear story and also like actually like scale with difficulty because they all have to be around the same level because you have to be able to do any one as soon as you get out of the tutorial area pretty much.
Right. Right.
And Olympic Worlds doesn't really have that because it's in batches, like in most of the other older Zelda games. Because you have like the first
Right.
three dungeons or whatever, and then you have the last 7 or 8.
Yeah.